Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. I'm one of your hosts, Sheldon McKinney,
And I'm your other host, Ruth Ann Fink.
and we are so happy to have Ruth Ann back. Welcome back to the show, Ruth Ann. She
Thank you.
came back a mama this time, and so we're so happy to get back in the saddle with our podcast, and even more excited to introduce you to our new team member, Cassidy Hutchison. Cassidy is going to be serving as the role of program manager for the Kentucky FFA Foundation, where she is going to wear a lot of different hats and will be a familiar face to you all soon. So we're thrilled to introduce her. So Cassidy, welcome to the foundation and to the Growing Kentucky's Leaders podcast. How about you introduce yourself? Tell the people a little bit about who you are and how Kentucky FFA has been a part of your journey.
Hello, thank you, Sheldon. As Sheldon said, my name is Cassidy Hutchison. I'm from very small town, Union County, where I still reside with my husband and my precious little dog. I spent most of my younger years growing up in my family-owned grocery store, and I didn't know a lot about the FFA before starting high school, but an older friend reached out and convinced me to take a leap and join and just see if I liked it. So my freshman year, I did intro to agriculture, and I am so glad that I joined when I did. I went on to compete in parley competitions, impromptu speaking, served as chapter president and a regional officer, and continued my love for agriculture through college, where I ended up graduating from Murray State with my degree in organizational communications and a minor in agriculture, and also my certificate in agriculture education. Once I graduated, I began working at Pratt Industries in the design lab with coordinating and management. And while I wanted to pursue a degree in agriculture, this was kind of my buffer step to wait. And I'm thankful I did, because it got me a little workforce development under my belt. This position was just there waiting for this dream role to pop up. And I've been so ecstatic to get started with the FFA Foundation and get back to my roots.
Oh,
Yeah.
and we're so happy to have you. You know, your degree assortment, we are in organizational communications. That's really what we do is we are a voice for Kentucky FFA for our mission, our vision, and our strategic plan. And you're going to help us enact that in a few years. And so we're thrilled to have you.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned this earlier, Cassidy, but I do want to touch on it more that your previous role at Pratt Industries did kind of set you up for success for a portion of what your current role will be, which is working with our program, Kentucky FFA Works. If you've not heard of it, listeners, it's this program we've created to help connect work-ready students, work-ready FFA members specifically, with career opportunities in Kentucky. And so, as you mentioned, your last role with Pratt Industries, you managed a team and you did some hiring. What were some of those career-ready skills that you liked hiring for when you were building out that team?
Yeah, so the positions I hired for were kind of like the beginner positions in the factory, which I think is what FFA Works. You're going to get a lot of beginners out of high school. I think it's kind of the same ordeal there. And when I was hiring, a lot of the main skills I was drawn to is, you can teach somebody to do the job, but I was really looking for self-motivators and hard workers, someone who is always willing to learn and ask questions. And if you just had a really good attitude and you were there to learn and ready to work, you were already a rock star. So,
Yeah. And that is a theme that we hear from so many of our partners that have signed on as corporate partners to Kentucky FFA Works of, we can teach the skill when they get here. We cannot
for sure.
teach a work ethic. We cannot teach showing up to work on time. Those kind of things that we know that FFA members have been doing for a very long time, in and out of the classroom, and FFA just kind of enhances that. So we're excited for you to get involved with that program and take what you've done in your previous career and let that bleed into Kentucky FFA Works and just continue to grow that program.
Yeah, it's great. The other big hat you wear as our program manager is taking on teacher retention and recruitment projects. And this is new for the FFA Foundation. We have always supported the Teach Ag campaign. We have so many programs that support teachers, but we see this great need for new teachers to become to enter the classroom, new ag teachers to enter the classroom. Something that maybe people don't know is that the 24-25 school year was the first time in Kentucky that we had schools open who wanted to have a certified ag teacher, who wanted to have an agriculture program, and there was not teachers to fill those positions in those communities. We know that if we don't have great ag teachers, we can't have FFA chapters. It is one and the same. We have to have that. So you're going to be taking on some of that recruitment work and hopefully getting these high school students who think maybe an ag teacher is a job I would like, help them find the tools and steps to do that. So what makes you excited about getting to help students find a pathway in teaching agriculture, and how can folks follow along with your work and those projects?
I was an ag ed major for 2.5 years at Murray State before I decided to pivot. So agriculture education holds a spot near and dear to my heart. So I'm thrilled to get to connect with potential ag teachers and help them along their journey. I've seen it already just a couple times at camp, them being a little unsure, and it makes me excited to be able to talk to them and help them with all the concerns they may have and things like that. And you will soon be able to follow along with our journey on our Instagram and Facebook pages. It will be under Teach Ag Kentucky. We'll make sure to link it somewhere for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we for sure will. Cassidy, I want you to maybe be personal about this. You were an ag ed major and then you didn't finish it. So you really have kind of been through some of these pitfalls that students fall into. What are some ways we can support students who are in the pathway and then they're like, I don't know. What could we have done for you years ago is a question.
Yeah, I think college is just hard in general, not even the classes, just kind of trying to figure it out. If you're a first generation college student, kind of like I was, or you're not good with paperwork, I mean, there was no way to figure out, why am I doing this? What is this for? What are my next steps? So it kind of gets a little tricky. So I think us just being there to help give them a path and help them along the way will go a very long distance in helping them in the long run. Just a little encouragement and answer all of their questions.
For sure.
Yeah. And speaking of encouragement, and obviously we know that these young teachers, these pre-service teachers in college, they need it, but our teachers that are in the classroom, those mid-career teachers, even if they've only been in for a few years, we know how far a little bit of appreciation can go for our teachers, especially our ag teachers that are working year-round, long hours. We know how much they put into the job, and that's a key piece that you'll also get to work on. Like, we're kind of like throwing in these tidbits that your role will do, but this one just like warms my heart. And I'm so glad that you get to work on this project, Cassidy, which is really teacher retention and appreciation. So this past year, if our listeners were following along with our socials, with Kentucky FFA socials, they might have seen a lot of these like surprise awards to ag teachers, and that was called the Golden Owl Program. It was a program that recognized the great work of agriculture teachers, one from each region, and they were nominated by their peers and colleagues. It was a total surprise. We showed up to their schools with a big check and an award, and it was just so special if you got to be a part of that. And that's something that you'll get to really take the lead on. And so we know, because we got to experience it, how special that is. But I want you to share, how have you been influenced by a special agriculture teacher in your life?
So many ag teachers have impacted my life. One even helped me get this job, and he was not even my ag teacher. He helped prepare me for the process and interview and things like that. But one that stands out to me is one of my high school teachers. He taught my freshman ag class, Jeremy Hill. If you're listening, I'm talking about you. I got pretty close with him rather quickly, and he kind of pushed me to do any competition I could. He helped prepare me for all of the competitions when I was struggling with finding an SAE, because I don't come from a farm background. He came to the family grocery store and kind of connected those dots for me and showed me that you don't have to be a farmer to technically be considered FFA in agriculture. So that changed my outlook a little bit on things as I went on to college to be an ag ed major. And he's just, anytime life needs me to call him, he is always a phone call away. And he always abided by a quote. Every single class, every single competition, every single trip we took, he would end it by saying, happiness is a choice. And I now have a coffee mug that sits on my table that says happiness is a choice. And I find myself repeating that quote a lot in my head when making decisions. So he has really changed my life more than he could ever know. And I'm so thankful for him.
Wow, that's so special. And I seriously, I cannot wait for you to get to be a part of this, Cassidy. It is the best feeling in the world to see these teachers and how much we know how special they are. You know how special they are. And now you get to be a part of just thanking them. And that's really just heartwarming work.
Yeah. It's the best. There are some hard moments in this job, but the majority of it is getting to do great things, and it's so fun. And recognizing teachers and students is definitely part of it. So, Cassidy, your very first week at work with us was at Kentucky FFA State Convention. We kind of joked we were just like baptizing you by fire that week, and here's everything. It was so great to welcome you back. I think this is your first convention since you were a student, so uh, lots of changes. When you were there and you get to be around the energy, Kentucky FFA and our partners and all those people, I just, what made you want to come back and work with an organization like us?
I have always wanted to work for the FFA. I just felt like it was such a far away thing to do because it's the FFA. That's a major business.
Mhm.
I think that's why I had so much trouble landing a major in college because ag ed was going to be a way for me to connect with students in the classroom, but I really just wanted to be able to connect with even more students, not just who was in my classroom, wanted to influence and make an impact. And once I saw this job posting, I knew that my education and workforce experience was pretty much cultivated for this job, which I kept calling my dream job when I was going through the process. So I was really excited to just jump back in and get back to what really made me me throughout the past 10 years of my life.
Yeah. Well, we're just so glad to have you as part of this team. You have no idea how much better these programs are going to become when they have a person that can really dedicate the time that they deserve. These programs are good. We know that the work of the foundation, the strategic plan we've been working towards is impactful and it can really have great influence. And so, I'm just at a loss for words for how excited that this team is that we have a person that can really dedicate time to building them. And so I'm excited for ag teachers to get to meet you and get to see that work become real and live in the flesh. And so I guess that's a call out to all of our listeners. If you see Cassidy out and about, please introduce yourself and make her feel welcome. We're so glad to have her. And obviously it will be a learning curve for everyone, but it will only be good things come of this.
Yeah.
Cassidy, we end every podcast episode with the same 3 questions. And so the first one is just what keeps you motivated as a leader?
I think probably bouncing off what you said, making an impact. I have 2 little sisters, so I've always tried to strive and be a role model and make an impact on them. I get very close with the younger generation, just giving advice and helping them through life a little bit. So I think making an impact on others is really what keeps me motivated and being able to connect and speak with other people.
Yeah. Well, this is the perfect role for you then, because you're certainly going to get to get impact to so many. Our next question is about philanthropy. The Kentucky FFA Foundation, we're a philanthropy, giving your time, talent, treasure to the greater good. What's the most meaningful way you have gotten to engage in philanthropy that's meant the most to you?
Yeah, so I've done a lot with the FFA throughout the years, but the past couple of years working in just the workforce, I haven't gotten to do a lot of AWIS, which is why I'm thrilled to be back here to help with that philanthropy. One of the main one that sticks out to me is I also help run our Distinguished Young Women program in the county. So that one has fully made an impact as I got in there a little higher on the chain. I was able to help these young girls with their job interviews, their public speaking, their getting just out into the world and being more confident and willing to make a change and do big things. And that one has been very important to me thus far, but I'm also seeing where it corresponds with what I'll be doing with this job. So I'm hoping to soon be able to make that impact with the FFA as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And our last question is a little bit off the wall, and you can truly answer whatever comes to mind first. It's just what's something you can't stop talking about. I mean, Cassidy, I will preface, we've heard everything. So it can be serious. It could be, like I think Sheldon said, her walking pad.
True.
I talked about a clothing subscription when I answered this. So truly, first thing that comes to mind, what is something you cannot stop talking about?
Well, I want to say this week, probably the little hometown boutiques around here. I have accidentally hit up several of them and spent half of my bank account. Let's not tell my husband. But just the local boutiques right now are really popping off with some cute stuff. So if you need to go shopping, don't go to the mall. Go support your local boutiques around the area for sure.
And you're in Morganfield.
Yes, I'm in Morganfield, Kentucky. So the surroundings, I've been in Marion, Kentucky this week, Henderson, Kentucky this week, and in Morganfield we have a few as well. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Well, Cassidy, we cannot wait to see all that you're going to do. It's going to be great. And people will see you around at all sorts of FFA events. You'll probably be at some regional FFA days, visiting universities, maybe visiting some classrooms throughout the year. So we'll so much ahead. We will link your new Instagram and Facebook pages if you're going to follow specific Teach Ag recruitment content here in Kentucky. It's just the best. So thanks for being here and being on our show.
yes, I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
We have another little announcement, and that our podcast is going to take a little brief summer vacation. And so you're going to be seeing some reposts of episodes that maybe you hadn't listened to. You may get some things dropped in your feed from time to time from our new state officer team, or we may just come back and see you in August when school starts. So we have a whole library of content that you can access if you have missed any episodes. Use this summer to catch up on those. And we can't wait to come back in August with some great new episodes and introduce you to some of our new FFA members and all the projects we have going on. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. Growing Kentucky's Leaders is a podcast brought to you by the Kentucky FFA Foundation. Our music is performed by Bourbon County FFA member Joe Fritch. Artwork is by Julie Fritch Creative. Your hosts are Sheldon McKinney and Ruth Ann Fink, and you can find us on all social platforms at Kentucky FFA.